You know, there's been plenty of concern about the quarterback with the John Wayne attitude. After his fourth concussion as a Cowboy, Troy reaffirmed that it's just part of the game, comparing the danger of playing quarterback to living in L.A. with the fear of an earthquake. Troy says, and I quote, "You know the big one may hit one day. You just stay there and take your chances."
So look at this, Jim. This is like how you ran in high school. Look at that. Perfect form, extension. I mean, and doesn't even get phased if there's people around. Just look, ooh, look at the change of direction.
It was very weird that I was having a lot of just really strange thoughts. But then I knew I was having strange thoughts, and then when I tried to recall what it was I was thinking, I couldn't do that. I couldn't bring it back.
Hey, with the fear of an earthquake. You know the big one may hit one day.
You just close your eyes and just think, and then think about Brad.
Everything was about the Jets. We had to paint a room green. One night he just woke up and yelled, "Watson!" What is that? Is it a Sherlock Holmes reference or something?
No, I think that's a reference to Deshaun Watson, who the Jets passed on drafting in 2017. That's what I think that is.
Some of these guys like Carson Wentz, Cam Newton, Colin Kaepernick, myself, it's not that we can't play the game anymore. It's that we're a big distraction if you bring us in. I had a GM tell me this offseason, "Hey, man, I know you can still play. You look like you can still play. But if we bring you in, it's going to be a distraction for our starting quarterback." So now that your starter and Aaron Rodgers is out, you can potentially go and grab some of those guys.
You were all playing golf together, right?
Yeah.
But did he seem different to you, or
Yeah.
was he agitated about anything?
Yeah, I was very upset about the Jets.
Fucking Jets.
Yeah, I know.
He loved them so much,
Yes,
and all they did was disappoint.
No, we all do, and that's what happens. But to take it to this level, I mean, it's just.
Welcome back. Football is back. We are back. And we're bringing another great episode to you today. As always, I have Nick with me. Nick, how's everything going?
Kyle, I'm happy to be here. Happy to be done week one. Week one was miserable. It sucks. We're moving on.
Week one was eventful, to say the least. So we'll keep it moving. We have a big show for you today, and we do have a special guest. Brad, the Bread Bruce, is with us. Brad, how's everything going? How's your week one?
My week one was burnt toast. Garbage straight in the trash can. That's pretty much it.
Burnt toast. I can smell it from here. So let's keep this going. We have a big show today. We're going to review all of week one, everything week one, news, Madden curse, question mark. We'll talk trades, waiver wire pickups. We'll review the pick'ems. Thank you guys, everyone who participated. Nick, thanks for organizing that. I think it was a lot of fun. I did not do very well at all. We do have a mailbag for today that we'll review. And then we'll touch some current events, what's going on, not just in the league, not just, in our friend circle, but in the world, right? That's really important. Okay, so week one. I think we'll just start off here. I threw a couple of clips in, guys, to the first episode. Just fun highlights that I thought were interesting. Tyreek Hill, Mike Evans, Justin Jefferson, they all balled out. So, I think there's a little bit of a trend here. Some good mojo in the pod. If we throw a guy in there, even Jacoby Myers, he got highlighted with the really bad lateral. He had a big game. He's hurt now, but just wanted to call that out. Something that, if you have a bet coming up, anything in one of your sports books, you want your guy to do well, we'll throw a little clip in the pod to see if he performs better. But week one, I think a good place to start is just how everything went. How did your matchups go? Were you guys surprised by anything? And, Brad, since you are our guest, I'd like to throw it to you. This is year 3. Anything that you were surprised to see in week one?
I got smoked in week 1 by 10 or 11 pretty much, and I would have won almost every other matchup. So kind of always a tough start when that happens, be the 3rd highest scoring team and lose. But not shocking was every tight end being pretty much terrible. And somehow we having I think I got 6.8 out of Firemuth and 7.5 out of Hawkinson feels great from our matchup between me and Pete. So it's a real interesting year for scoring being down massively in that first week too, and still having some high scores out there. It was quite interesting. I think our day was like 51 touchdowns total or something, like 30 less than last year.
I did see something.
So
about
still
that.
see some points. Yeah, still see some points out there was pretty interesting. And how they were all sat together.
What about you,
And
Nick?
chunk
Any
of them
big?
came from defense and special teams, Brad, which is a huge point. I saw the same stat. We don't even use defense in this league.
True, I got hit with a
We don't.
40-point Dallas defense this week.
Exactly. We didn't even get all those touchdowns. Everybody hates when the random guy scores a touchdown who no one owns, but when it's a defense, we don't get those either. There were very sparse touchdowns in week 1.
Yeah.
I think Brad and I, we both probably feel we got rawed a little bit there. Brad, tough week 1 for us.
Yeah,
But
is
I
what
want
it
to
is.
shout out though too. He beat me. I think he probably cheated somehow. Raymond did. Good job, Raymond, though. And Raymond, tough break, though, lost Dobbins for the year. So the injury bugs everywhere. And then I think arguably the biggest hit, though, is we'll talk about it, I'm sure, more. But I feel for you too, Sean. That's brutal having Rodgers go down the 4th play. Because in a super flex, Rodgers is arguably a top 40 to 50 overall player. You lost him for the year. It's hard to find quarterback replacements. I know you made a move immediately, so good job for you. We'll get to that too with the trades, but as much as it sucks, Brad, what happened to us, I think there were other people who also had a rough time. We will rebound.
I was saying, looking at the league-wide scoreboard, it was not pretty for a team for a league that has no defenses, no kickers, and should be scoring higher. A lot of teams under 100 points.
You know how pets eventually begin to look like their owners? The league's scoring in this year 3 has begun to resemble the owners of the teams, and we're not very pretty people.
No, battered and bruised and close to 30.
It's Kyle won. Kyle played.
Yeah. So this could be a good place to start. I guess we were going to talk pick'em a little bit later, but if you guys want from a week 1 perspective, it might be smart just to break down how everyone did. Now that I have this up, I'm realizing, guys, if you can see my screen, we probably want to see more player detail in terms of matchup.
If you do scoreboard,
go to scoreboard and then do full box score. You can just scroll from team to team.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it gives you, if you just do top performance, it just shows you who.
Thank you.
Just click on any of them. Do matchup box score.
That's better. Okay. Yeah, so let's actually start here. We'll break down each performance. I won't add too many notes here. And then we'll also do a quick recap after reviewing week 1 matchups, how the pick'ems went, who our leaders are in that front. Nick, we'll start with you. The breakdown of, Team Regional versus myself. That was a tough one because Sean did lose Rodgers and he was the last player to play. Yeah. I think ESPN had a phony projection and I was slightly favored, but looking at the matchups, it was almost a surefire thing. If Rodgers had played, I was going to lose this matchup. So I'll leave it there. Do you guys have any other call outs?
Nothing too crazy other than just, I already said, Sean, that's really tough. You lost Rodgers. You also didn't have Andrews go basically 24 hours or less before the game. You find that out. That's brutal. He is probably the best or close to the best outside of Kelsey. And then on top of that, too, Deontay Johnson. Me and Kyle both liked him as a bounce back. I'm sure Brad loves him, too, because Brad loves everything we love. And that's true. Out for a while, too. So really tough week for you injury-wise. You got very unlucky, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I love Kyle. Amon-Ra St. Brown was one of my favorite guys coming into this year. It was nice to see him put up, solid point total in that first week, and he looked better than he scored, in my opinion. It looked like he could have gotten even more.
He had a seams go route.
Yeah.
He could have had like a 45-yard touchdown too.
He's going to be so exciting. And it was a tough matchup coming in on a Thursday night like that. And him still being like a stud and coming out there was really cool to see. And loving the bounce back from Calvin Ridley. That was cool to have him kind of back in the mix in the fold. Forget how good that guy was.
We don't like Calvin Ridley anymore, though. I'm not rooting for him anymore.
Amon-Ra sounds like he's a Brad guy.
That's right.
That honestly makes so much sense to me.
He is the one guy I did not get a single share of in a single league
Oh,
that
just kidding.
I'm super unhappy about. It just cards never fell my way, never got the chance, and I'm very sad. Definitely a Brad guy.
All right, let's move on to the next one. Team Bucher versus Team Zink. Surprise upset. I think many of us had Bucher slated in here, and
everybody in Pick'em who picked had me.
Ray was able to take the cake here. So we'll flip it first to Nick. This is your team. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, rough go of it, man. Unexpectedly, we talked on the pod basically as it broke last week. I had to play without Travis Kelce, probably my second or third best player on this team. One of the worst games of his entire career from Jamar Chase hurts. Basically, everyone on this team underwhelmed or was a little bit under their expectations besides Mahomes and besides Eckler. And Mahomes even didn't get to 20 points just because, kind of variance there. And then the guys I replaced him with, that's honestly on me too. Juju wasn't special. Van Jefferson was disappointing. Kyle Pitts is not doing faith by the Kyle name there. So I don't know. I think my team is still very solid. I'm not worried too much long term, but brutal week 1 for me there. And then, of course, Raymond basically just give Ayuk like one touchdown or no touchdown variance. It ends up being a game I might win anyway.
Yeah.
But you know how Raymond is. He just Raymond's his way into winning. So good job, Raymond.
Yeah, I think
you outlasted me a little bit there. Way to go.
The thing is, Ray's an emotional leader. So when you have a crowded, talented room in San Fran like Ayuk, you're never sure if he's going to, step up to the plate. Is he going to look, more like he did 2 years ago, or perform like he did last year and really play well? Well, Team Zink, emotional leader. He kind of riles the guys up before the game. So I think we did see that with Ayuk. Brad, any other thoughts?
I feel like Ayuk should get an extra 2 points for the block he threw on the one touchdown, I think, by McCaffrey. It was unbelievable. Guy caught Christian McCaffrey from behind. It's not an easy task.
Yeah, only he and Adley can do it, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, let's move on. Brad, we'll start with you on this one. This is your team with a tough loss to Team Campito. Pete is looking good this year. I'm liking his team a little bit more. I think the QBs, some question marks there. But Brad, what are your thoughts after week 1?
It's tough. Jahan, I was really hoping for a big game from him, and Commanders were targeting him a lot in the first half and just kind of stopped doing that for some odd reason. I'm not sure. They kept throwing it to Logan Thomas, who had like 4 drops. So could have used a bigger day out of Jahan for sure. But the team performed well. We just kind of came up and got buzzsawed by McCaffrey, Pollard, and Diggs, really, and then a solid Romeo Doubs performance kind of killed me there. But I'm happy with how my team performed. I think Dameon Pierce will bounce back too. It's a tough Ravens D that just was not going to let him get anywhere with CJ Stroud quarterbacking.
I don't know how I missed this earlier. Brad's team, like 60% of them is either Commanders or former Commanders, and then Justin Jefferson added on.
It's very odd.
If we put like Antonio Gibson in there, you have P. Ryan and Kirk, who are former Commanders. You have Jahan in there.
If I'm being honest, Samaje Perine might be my least favorite former Commander ever. I cannot stand that man.
Washington
I don't know.
Redskins.
I'm shocked he got 9.8 points because his whole time in Washington, he just ran into the line and fell over. I've never seen anything like it.
Fun Samaje fact. I think he still has the combine record for running back for most bench press reps ever.
I think so.
I think in his conference in college, I think he also has the yards in one game record. I think he had over 400 rushing yards in a single game.
I think at the time it was the CF college football record. I'm pretty sure.
Jeez.
And I think it got passed at some point, but it was, I'm pretty sure this conference or the college football record at the point. But terrible for his whole entire time as a skin at that point. Just awful. God awful.
Well, now he's unlimited. So
yeah. Grant, I am terrified now of having Garrett Wilson on my team as well. That could be real interesting.
Nick,
that was cool. He picked off that Zach Wilson pass for the touchdown.
Yeah, that was really nice of him.
Nick,
we talk about Pete's team a little bit. I think Kyle, did we both like Pete's team coming into the year, or was it just me? Is he one you didn't like as much?
No, I liked him. I think he was my top 4, top 5. But I said
he was like my 2 or my 3, and I still feel good about that, man.
Yeah,
I mean, he had a ton of money too, right? Like he came in just
that was part of why I loved him. he got hurt by the surprise Friday afternoon news about Christian Watson and still did this. And he also did this with Daniel Jones coming in here, and the game script was abysmal. Daniel Jones had probably one of the worst games he'll have all year. Pete's team's going to be good all year.
I think so. He put up that many points in a low scoring week was pretty impressive. And having points on the bench.
Nico Collins had, I think, the 4th or the 5th most air yards in week 1.
Oh, wow.
I'm not saying Nico Collins is suddenly a stud, but Pete's got depth too. Is what I'm trying to get at.
I mean, to be honest, I think Stroud looked better than I expected. I mean, amongst the rookies, I think Richardson was probably the best, and I think Stroud was probably the second best. So
I think that is probably accurate. And I would say outside of fantasy, Stroud might have even looked better in real life than Richardson did at certain points. I don't know. I didn't watch Richardson's game as close, so I don't want to pretend I did. But Stroud did agree with you, Kyle, because I watched all of that game. Looked very, very competent.
I thought so.
I didn't watch any of Richardson because I watched him at Florida and I saw all I need to see.
With Richardson,
guy's terrible. He's going to fall apart at some point.
Oh, he's shit.
I had not watched Richardson in college, and I did watch a little bit of the Colts game, and there were parts where they would pan away. The camera would come back to Richardson holding the ball after, a run, right? And I'm like, wait, why does one of the linebackers have the ball? And I'm like, oh my God, that's Richardson. He's just massive. Like I couldn't
huge.
believe it. Yeah.
His whole body is like the butt half of Jacoby Brissett.
All right. So Griffin has been talking the talk, and at least
Mark's in 11th, not even 10th.
Ouch.
Nick, let's start with you on this one. What did you think about Mark and Griffin?
I'm just giving Mark a hard time. I like Mark's team fine. I think Mark's team is pretty solid. I think he's had a little bit of a rough week here. The one takeaway I just want to say there, because I don't want to spend too much time on all of them, is he got a little bit of poor luck. That was one of the lower games from Waddle, some of the other guys on his team. I think Akers, though, even though he gave you the 9 points, I wouldn't play Akers again. He barely played in regular time. I'm sure Mark knows that too, because Mark's not an idiot. But Akers, I wouldn't feel very good trusting moving forward. Maybe without Kenneth Gainwell, you can play Penny this week. Maybe you can play Addison, one of them.
At least you can trust Kadarius now after week 1.
Yeah, Mark loves Kadarius Penny. Same body type. But on the other side, though, I think Griffin and Pete were my 1-2, and I think they are 1 and 2 right now.
Yeah.
And I thought Griffin had a great team coming. Griffin's team, I think, is probably the best team in this league. Do you guys feel sort of the same about that? I know we're talking about this matchup, but do you feel after 1 week that Griffin's probably the one to beat?
Well, who's this guy?
Yeah, that kind of helps. He got his big Tyreek week a little early, maybe, but.
Well, I think he got the week and then he pawned him off on some scrub who doesn't be only good for 1 week.
Yeah, that's the secret.
We'll get to that though. No, I mean, Tyreek Hill's incredible. He's like the third or fourth.
Yeah.
But I think it's still so much depth too. I'm not surprised Griffin won. I think Mark had a really rough week, but I think Griffin wins most weeks anyway, and Mark, better days are ahead.
All right. Let's flip over to Tim and Kevin. So this is one where I do have a couple comments here, but Brad, let's start with you. I think a lot of us were low on Tim's team in week 1, and he pulled out a big win against Kevin.
Yeah, but this is kind of just like a poop fecta of a game here. Not a whole lot.
Kevin get together. It's one of those.
Not a whole lot to watch. Not if you're watching Red Zone every time this one comes on, that's a pee break. You don't need to see this.
So if you told me last week that Tim would win with all of his skill players here scoring, less than what, like 25 points?
25 points, maybe, if that.
I would say you're crazy. So wow, like what a week to have Tua and Herbert, go off.
Yep.
So Tim, nice work. Kevin.
But on the Kevin side, though, I mean, let's Tim, I think it's a bit now a little bit that we both ranked you 12th. Tim's team is not, by being 12th, we think it's bad. Like Tim, I think you're probably going to win playoff contender type games. You're already 1-0 too. But on the Kevin side, dude, that's like the worst game of the year at T. Higgins easily. It's the worst game of the year probably out of Dak because the game script he was in. He was not going to pass at all. McKinnon barely was involved. Goddard was barely involved. Kevin just had not the way Sean did or some of the other guys we talked about already did. Injury, bad luck, but just the most bizarre game script outcomes possible. I think Kevin's team is still in the top half too.
Yeah, and it'll look different once Cooper Kupp is back. So, Brad,
I think both these guys are just going to live and die off their quarterbacks.
Make sure you mention Tim's guy coming back. Tim's got a guy too.
I think Stinson Bennett, something else just happened to him.
Yeah,
He
he's
turned
no longer
30.
he's no longer on the team. I think.
Yeah, I think something literally just happened to him like last hour.
He's on Tim's team now. Yeah, he's not on the Rams. He's on Tim.
Yeah.
All right, the final game to recap: Team Austin versus Team Colt. Colt pulled out a close win here. What do you think, Nick?
I think it went a little bit lower scoring than I would have guessed, but probably about what I would have thought. I think Colt has one of the top half of the league teams. Austin probably is not super far behind, but Austin's got more guys. I think when we were doing the power rankings and post-draft talk, I still feel this way. I mean, Jackson's the Juke on the bench, and Arcane, a lot of those guys Austin has. Plus, Judy didn't play, but even his starting lineup too. I mean, I like Sky Moore potentially still long-term. Dalton Kincaid, Pickens, stock up with the Deontay Johnson news, Ash Charbonnet. Austin's team, I think, is one of the ones that clearly is built to be better in a year or two.
Yeah.
It won't shock me if he's better now because he has some really good cornerstones too. I mean, Lawrence and Richardson is super flex on its own. Plus, Devonta Smith is pretty good, and then you have Saquon too.
Yeah,
I think Austin's going to be fine. But I do think Colt's got a pretty good team still overall, and I think he is probably who. I don't know. Is Colt like the 5th, 6th seed if we're doing it right now? You guys think? We're not going to do actual rankings, but I think Colt's got a good team, and just gets more involved moving forward probably.
Yeah, it could be higher if things kind of start panning out for someone like Gibbs getting more touches.
Yeah,
like
I would play Brees Hall on Colt this week over those guys.
Yeah, like
I think
the stock is rising.
I think Colt could be 4 or 5.
Yeah,
I mean,
easily.
I just said, yeah, I think we agree then.
Yeah. I mean, Brees Hall, we said this in the last episode, but he's one of my favorite. I mean, he was, I think, the #1 dynasty player before he got hurt last year. And I think he kind of proved out why that was the case, in week 1. So
if you're a Colt next week, sorry to interrupt you, Kyle, but would you play Pickett or Stroud?
What's the matchup
you saw the Browns
next week
even
for Stroud?
Burrow too, but Burrow just got lit on fire.
It's matchup dependent. We should take a look.
Yeah, that's why I'm leading us into it though. I mean, Browns defense who just killed Joe Burrow against Kenny Pickett, or Stroud against the Colts defense who just gave up a decent game to Trevor Lawrence. Not great, but decent. I think I might play Stroud. Asking.
Yeah, I may play Stroud there as well.
I might play Stroud personally. I don't know what Colts doing. I might. That was a bit I was going to ask you guys about when we got to the matchups.
I mean, yeah, we can roll. Is that all the last week's? We can roll right into the matchups.
I'll summarize pick them real quick.
Yeah, so, please, Nick.
Yeah, give you some time, Kyle. Thank you for everything you're doing. Pick them. Everybody can play if they want. This past week, we had 4 of us play. It was me, Kyle, Brad, and Griffin. So Brad and Griffin have a head start on everybody else who's not a regular picker on the pod. But so far, on top of his dominant win Griffin is the leader in pick'em. He went 4-2. I went 3-3, and then Kyle and Brad, you both went 2-4. So still plenty of time to make that up. We're going to pick all 6 matchups this week. We're going to pick them all year. Guys, just because you missed the first week does not mean you're unable to pick the rest of the way. If you want to text, email, whatever you got to do, let me know who you're picking.
Love it. Okay, so we're trying to look at Pickett against Cleveland and Stroud versus Indianapolis. Okay, I think you probably just said that, Nick. I was not processing. Yeah. I was trying to figure out what was going on my screen. But maybe Stroud. As crazy as that is.
I said it because I would play Stroud personally, and Pickett on top of the fact he's facing the defense that just killed Joe Burrow and knows him pretty well being a division matchup. He also is going to have to do it without Deontay Johnson and maybe without Pat Freiermuth.
Yeah.
And he looked bad anyway. I mean, the Niners make everybody look bad. Give him a little bit of a break there. But I think we all agreed Stroud looked better than we thought. I think I'd play Stroud. So, Colt, up to you. But that's what I would do personally.
Yep. And make sure to throw Stroud in your quarterback slot because both of your guys play Monday. All right. Cool. All right. So, thanks for recapping week 1. I think we can just move straight into week 2 here, and we can go one by one. Or I guess we should start in the back since we already looked at Tim and Colt. All right. We'll do snake style. Start with Brad, Nick, and then go to myself. So, Brad, what do you think for...
I'm liking Colt as we kind of talked him up for being a team on the rise. So give me Colt here, especially if he's gonna have a decision or two to make, but it's good to have options.
Okay, just Nick is next.
I actually will differ. I'm gonna go Tim here. So Tim, like I said, you're one of the best teams in the league, and I've thought that the whole time. I think Tim's got better matchups personally when I look at these 2 teams. I think like Brees Hall will only get better. Gibbs only gets better as year goes on. Pardon me. But I think Tua's going to eat. I know it's against Belichick, but I think he's going to eat anyway. I think Herbert's going to eat. I think Najee Harris is not quite as bad as some other ones we've already talked about, but the game script was rough for him last week. And I think he's going to have at least a better game. And I think Chig, who should have had a touchdown in their game, Tannehill just missed him. I'd be shocked after his goose egg if they don't get him some easy catches early. So I think it's going to be close. I'm not saying it's a blowaway or anything, but I actually lean Tim this week based on their matchups.
This is a close one. I'll lean Colt. I like his depth.
Okay.
So let's move on to the next one. So Snake, I'll go first on this one. So Austin against Griffin. Griffin, hate to give you credit here, but I think you have a pretty dominant team. I'll lean Griffin in this matchup.
Yep. I don't have anything super special to add to that. I think Griffin has probably the best team, and I'm going Griffin too.
Yeah, it's a Griff for me as well.
Okay. Pete against Mark. Brad, you tee us off here.
You know, I feel like I just got, after getting whooped, absolutely whooped by Pete. I want to pick Mark, but that Pete team is too good. And he underperformed out of a couple positions on top of having guys go off. I think he takes Mark down.
Yeah, I lean Pete here. I think Mark, if he makes a couple roster switches, like I said earlier, I'd probably pull maybe Penny up there, since especially now we know what's his name. Gainwell's not playing Thursday night, and the Vikings are kind of a sieve on defense. I think I know they had an okay week one. I think if he does that, he has a better chance. But I just think Pete is probably also the second best team or the third best team, and I'm going to go with Pete as well.
Yeah, we've got to admit that. Well, actually, I'll change it up. I think Mark does find a way to throw in a couple guys who are playing. I agree with what Nick said. Akers is not going to play. I think that the Bengals will bounce back to a certain extent. So Mixon might have a good game here. I'll go Mark.
Okay.
Okay. Team Zinc against Team Sean, Regional. Let's start with, I guess, myself. Tough, again, losing Aaron Rodgers. Sean, I think we're in a couple leagues together, and I think he doubled up on Rodgers, so sorry, buddy. Good job getting Stafford. He looked great week one.
Mm-hmm.
So that does help you a lot. Garoppolo, ended up winning the game. So, he's doing Garoppolo stuff. I think I'm going to have to still go with Team Zinc. I think his skill players, I think I actually like Sean's more, but I feel like these guys are more consistent. I like the quarterbacks more. So for that reason, I'll go Team Zinc.
Okay. We differ on this one too. I will go Sean. I don't think it's by a lot. I think Raymond might have the better team in most weeks, but I think Sean's matchups and where the team currently is, I don't know. I don't trust Ayuk to do what he just did. It makes me a little bit concerned, even when they were playing competitive game in the first half against the Steelers, how little Kittle played. Dylan did not look great. Now, if Aaron Jones sits, I probably would like to change this. Kyle and I are playing to the disadvantage of the fact that our picks are made now. We're not going to change them after the fact. So if you guys want to wait till Sunday and text me based on Aaron Jones in this one, you can. But I'm mostly doing this because I want to see Bijan dominate touches once or twice first. I know he made the amazing broken tackle run. I had to watch it because I was playing Raymond, and Bijan's a freak. But Tyler Algier rushed for 1,000 yards last year, and he played as much and got more goal line stuff. So I don't know. I worry a little bit about that. I want to see it first, and I think I'm going to go Sean as a result of that here.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go Sean as well. I kind of see a lot of his guys getting some more touches. He gets Mark Andrews back, which could be a huge bump, hopefully.
Agreed.
Mark Andrews is back, yeah. Could be a huge bump, and I see some mismatches on the table. DJ Moore's not going to get that little amount of targets again, hopefully. Maybe. Feel like it's one of those, maybe they overcorrect and hit him a bunch. Kind of a surprise week, and Sean takes it.
I agree with you. They get a squeaky wheel game after the 2 targets.
Yeah.
Plus the new stack of new Brandon Cooks,
Yeah.
That might be better than we expect. Who knows? All right. And I did not even realize, guys.
Oh, look at
We've
this.
got a live matchup on the pod.
That's why I brought us Brad. That's why I
Who's
picked
this guy?
All
All
right,
right, who you picking?
Brad.
So it's the regular season, so I'm going to lose 100%. No questions asked. There's no playoff implication. It's not a game to go to the championship, so I'm definitely losing.
You have a bunch of stupid Washington players I don't even know about, and they're going
to
touchdowns.
I may have to pick up Jordan Reed's retired, so maybe I pick up Cole Turner. Washington's number 2
Play
tight
Jaden
end.
Reed. Did you think
Yeah.
that was during the draft? Is that why you have him?
Maybe I do just play Jaden Reed and see if,
You
the
saw Jaden
ghost of
Reed,
Jordan
like,
Reed comes in. That might be my only chance at winning, is I might have to throw a Hail Mary there. Grant, I think Kirk did take you down in one of those years, so.
Yeah, he
See.
definitely did.
Yeah. So yeah, I think Nick takes me down pretty handily.
I don't think it's handily, but I do think I'm catching you at a good time, joking aside, just because I want to see with Garrett Wilson first after he did not do well last year's at Wilson, and then Aaron Jones may not play. If he does play, I worry he'll probably only get half the touches. I have the same deal though, Brad. I don't know if it's a layup here because Eckler, as of now, we have no idea if he's playing.
I did forget about that Eckler piece.
Yeah, and Kelsey, I think probably play. I hope they both play, but they could both not play. And if they both miss, I probably would pick you. So where we are right now with what we know right now, I'm going to pick myself. But if Aaron Jones plays and Freiermuth plays and Kelsey and Eckler don't play, you probably win. I think it's that close.
Yeah. It probably does come down to injuries, but again, it's not the playoffs or a play-in game, so it's probably you.
Yeah, this is a crazy one. I think it's going to come down to Eckler, Kelsey, and then also if Aaron Jones plays. I mean, stating the obvious, right? But that's tough. I mean, we're making fun of Garrett Wilson, but in a vacuum, I probably would take him over Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, handle
so,
it. I would still anyway.
Anyway, I'll lean Nick here. I think Michael Thomas is someone that I think will actually have a pretty big week too. I'd like to throw a couple touchdown props on him. Yeah, I'll lean Nick here. Sorry, Brad.
No, it's we'll see how it goes.
Of course, Brad's going to sweep me now. Watch.
Yeah. If everyone starts picking Nick, that would be great for my odds.
We did that last week, and look what happened.
Sure. Yeah.
From a high diversity. Yeah,
I was
going to help
last week. No one won with me, so good job.
Yeah.
All right,
Kyle,
so this
first for you as the Kyle expert.
Yeah, so this is the final matchup, myself versus Kevin. Kevin has a great team, had a tough week 1. So I expect his guys to be fired up. I think I might take this one. I'll vote for myself here. Yeah, I made a pretty big trade. We'll talk about it in a little bit, but I don't think that the Tyreek week 1 was. I mean, he's not going to do that every week, but I do think he's a top 3 wide receiver in the NFL. And I'm hopeful that my other 3 starters are also top 10, top 15 guys. So I'll bank on that and keep my fingers crossed that King Henry doesn't go off.
Yeah, this is tough. I think in a vacuum, Kyle, I think your team is better than Kevin's. But I think for this week, I'm going to probably take Kevin. It's close. I worry. It's funny you bring up Tyreek because he's what I was going to talk about with this one too. Belichick's whole thing, even without Brady, has been he's pretty good at scheming away your best player. So even though I think Tua goes off, I think it's more Waddle and Gesicki and some other guys. And I worry Tyreek has, instead of the Tyreek game we just saw, he probably has what Waddle just did, the 4 for 80 or the 6 catches for 75 yards. He's going to be good, but I fear he probably won't have a dominant game. We'll see. He's going to make me look like an idiot probably, I'm sure. I agree with you, by the way. I think he'd be the 3rd receiver. Maybe the 2nd also, by the way. I mean, Jamar Chase just did nothing, and it's very possible he comes back to get the other way. But it's more about with Kevin. I think Dak is going to come out after the game script in and throw it around. I think T. Higgins is going to have a huge game after his game script was so bad. After you catch no passes on 8 targets, and you're playing a Ravens defense with no Marlon Humphrey, you're going to probably have a bunch of catches. I would be shocked if T. Higgins doesn't go off. So this is more about I just think Kevin's guys get right.
Yeah. I think this matchup totally almost comes down to that last offensive player slot of Dak Prescott and Jordan Love, and give me Jordan Love. The guy looked great, and Dak can't help himself when it comes to turnovers. And the Jets just took everything away from Josh Allen. So don't feel like he's going to have a great week, especially after kind of not getting in a groove this week, being up by so much. His defense and special teams kind of taking care of business. Off week for Dak. Jordan Love puts up big numbers, and Kyle takes us down.
Okay. So just to summarize real quick, we'll get everybody else who writes in picks, but as of now, we have, this is not the order Kyle did them in, but we all picked me over Brad in that matchup, and Raymond and Sean. Me and Brad are on Sean. Kyle's on Raymond. Pete and Mark, their matchup. Me and Brad are on Pete. Kyle's on Mark. Kyle versus Kevin. I took Kevin. I'm lone dog and Kevin. You two are raw dog and Kyle together. Tim versus Austin. We all took Griffin. And then Tim versus Colt. I'm Lone Wolf and Tim. You guys are on Colt.
Love it. Yeah, thanks for doing that.
Yeah,
We're going to flip to an ad here in just a minute, but if you stayed tuned, we will hit trades and waiver wire pickups. We will hit mailbag. We do have a special message and current events as well. So stay tuned.
Oh, I cannot wait for that one.
And we'll be right back. All right.
See you guys on the other side.
Once you've found the right doctor and have told him or her about your pain, don't be afraid to take what they give you. Often, it will be an opioid medication. Some patients may be afraid of taking opioids because they're perceived as too strong or addictive. But that is far from actual fact. Less than 1% of patients taking opioids actually become addicted. And any drowsiness that might occur when you start to take the medication will soon wear off in most patients.
Don't be afraid to take what they give you.
Once you've found the right doctor and have told him or her about your pain, don't be afraid to take what they give you.
We are back. And
You want
so
to clip out Heston Kierkegaard getting pulled after a walk? Maybe he's coming up. Ooh.
And welcome back to the Bucher's Batch of Boys Fantasy Baseball Podcast.
yeah, Roman, are you listening?
Yeah, Roman, are you here?
Do you think some of those guys listen to the whole football pod, or do they just like open it?
I would not be shocked if Roman listens.
I bet you maybe the first one. I don't know if they are now. I would say it's even money.
I mean, it's pretty. It's actually more extreme than baseball, maybe in terms of going through like, how did Mark do this week? Like Mark is a good team. That's a little hardcore. That's tough to listen to.
We haven't spent 20 minutes talking about teams Carter Capps played for yet, so we can bring that up at some point.
Yeah. So we still have a lot to talk through. I think a good starting place might just be transactions, reviewing some trades, waivers, see what you guys think. Yeah. We could start with trades. There have been a couple now. The first one, Sean made some immediate moves following Aaron Rodgers and his devastating injury. Picked up Matthew Stafford from Team Zinc in exchange for Javonte Williams. Nick, maybe start with you. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, I've got a little bit of a take here, and it's that I think this is a very fair trade. But even with that being the case, I actually like Sean's side a decent bit more. I would rather have Sean's side. And the reason is, although I think Javonte is definitely up to stock, and I think when you look at their costs, Stafford's like $40-$50 type guy. I think Javonte's 80 something. So they're both very potentially keepable, but not locks to be kept. The bigger thing for me though is Stafford looked like the Stafford the Rams traded for in week 1. Both watching it, he did it without Cooper Kupp, and then I watched some of the game because I had Van Jefferson who didn't do much, but Puka Nacua, basically everybody but Van Jefferson did do things.
Yeah.
On that. Tutu did stuff too. But Stafford graded out as the second best quarterback from PFF. And this time, 2 years ago, he was on his way to winning a Super Bowl with the Rams. I think we're a little bit recency biased watching him get hurt last year and the Rams kind of self-destruct. I don't think the Rams are especially good, but I do think Stafford, if he's healthy again, and it looks like he is a top third of the league or top quarter of the league quarterback. And I feel pretty confident he's going to be legitimately not a difference maker in the way that someone like Mahomes or Allen is, but I would rank him in the top 10-ish, depending on matchup, quarterbacks moving forward most weeks. And I feel like, especially when Cooper Kupp comes back, you're going to feel great about that. Javonte is great too. This is really a tough thing to say other than just having a take, but I do think I like Stafford better myself.
Wow. Brad, what do you think?
Yeah. I'm with Nick there. I actually do like getting Stafford back. I know we've talked a little bit, just, personally and on podcasts and things. Football trades are always so tough for me to judge in a sense. It's not like baseball where it's really easy to be like, I need steals and you need saves, make something happen. Football, it's tough, but I think this is actually one of those cases where it's like quarterbacks are properly valued in this format. He needed a quarterback after losing it, went out and got one. Did what he needed to do, gave up a piece, but he backfilled and now he's not running like, I don't even know who else is on his team, but like Desmond Ridder or something out there. And
they're great trade partners, Brad.
Yeah.
But Dobbins going out for the year for Raymond makes Javonte a great get for him. And Raymond also he had like 5 quarterbacks after the draft.
Yeah.
It's the one I would not have wanted to trade probably. But Javonte looked good, and I think he probably takes more than half the work from P-Ryan the rest of the way. So it makes complete sense for both teams. Yeah. This is not about me thinking because Sean needs, with no Aaron Rodgers, a quarterback a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But it's more about just I believe Stafford's back to good Stafford.
And Raymond's strategy worked. He got all these quarterbacks, sucked them all in, and then traded one for a good piece. Kind of cool to it actually worked out on both sides. Pros and cons.
They were
right?
a dream fit.
Yeah.
Love the color there. So yeah, I love to see the league moving and grooving, some active trades here. The next one was between myself and Griffin. I traded away Calvin Ridley and Brian Robinson in exchange for Tyreek Hill and James Cook. I don't have all the keeper costs here, but as you guys know, Tyreek is very expensive. Calvin Ridley is, I think, $25 of the minimum keeper. So there is a disparity there, to say the least. Nick, we'll start with you. What do you think?
I think it's a little bit of a cop-out, but for this year, I like your side better. I think if we're drafting today and it was a non-Superflex, even Superflex, Tyreek Hill's like a top 10 pick probably. And Calvin really looked great, but it's only been 1 week. I want to see it a couple more times. Christian Kirk will not get phased out the way he did this first game against the Colts, I don't think. So I think Ridley is legit, just to be clear here. And he's obviously by far the best keeper value in here. But I think an underrated thing, especially in fantasy football, even more than baseball, because we talk about both of these games, is just going for it when you're good. And Kyle has a top 3 or 4 roster, I think, in this league right now. So I commend you for going for it in that sense. I think you got the better deal for this year specifically. And it's very easy if you're on the fence, just like punt. But in football, where anything can happen week to week, I love the idea of going for it. I really do. So I think I would grade it slightly preferring Griffin's side in a vacuum. But given where you are, I like it for you too.
Yeah. I mean, I think too, football trades sometimes come down to who got the best guy. And you got the best guy, right? You got Tyreek out of it. And that's a win in a sense, because you start so many less people. The season's not as long. However, that value on Calvin Ridley is insane. That's awesome value on a guy that has been a stud every single year. I mean, he's 2 800-yard seasons with close to double-digit touchdowns, or a double-digit touchdown in there, and then over 1,000 yards the last time he played. I mean, the guy's a bona fide stud, and I really like Calvin Ridley in that offense. It's going to be a tough one maybe in a year from now for you to look at, and you're going to come up against Calvin Ridley in a really moving and grooving offense at an important time. You're like, damn it, why'd I do that? But it's like Nick said, you push your chips in a little bit early, and I like you getting yourself out there and get going.
No, I like it. So it's funny. Griffin was the one who reached out on this trade, so he actually initiated. Griffin did also want to add some color after we did agree on the trade. And Griffin said, so when you discussed the trade last year, I remember thinking I should pick up Ridley. Then for some reason, I waited like a week, and I got so mad when you added Ridley. LOL. So, Griffin, thanks for adding that note.
Now I want to change my mind and say it's probably like 70-30 Griffin. I know I said it was like slightly favoring Griffin, but now I think it's by a lot.
Well, Griffin went and got his guy. Now we know.
Yeah, he got his guy. And he added LOL, so he's clearly not as bent up about it as you are. You're way like higher strung about it.
Yeah, I for what it's worth, I really like Ridley this year. One thing that made me feel better about the trade was that I do have a season-long. I have a Super Bowl pick in for the Jags. So in the range of outcomes that Ridley is the best wide receiver in the NFL, like, maybe that works out well for me. But yeah, thanks for reviewing, guys. That was fun.
Yeah.
Maybe we can flip over to I'm still getting used to ESPN. I'm calibrating Fantrax right now.
I've gotten very used to Fantrax's was once janky, now kind of intuitive system they got going on.
Agreed.
It's funny how for the first little stretch we were like, oh, Fantrax sucks. But now we're like, Fantrax is just as good as ESPN or better.
The Fantrax app is still like meh, not as great, like not great, but the website is so much better. That filtering ability is so good.
It's so customizable. That's the part I love. It's so much easier for our league.
So I don't know how far back we should go here. I guess
I think the page you had is probably fine.
Yeah, I think page 1. Everything here is kind of.
Although who was it who won that Puka Nacua sweepstakes on there?
Was it?
I'm just kidding. I picked him up.
Was it Kyle Jordan? Was it that guy?
Anyway, so right here, I guess, is where it starts.
Yeah, let's run this week's waivers.
Yeah. So the first, and this is an interesting wrinkle, guys. Like I think there's some benefits and also some things that are kind of stupid about kind of maybe the way we set up these rules. So eager for feedback for next year, but because there are so many last minute changes in football and it's such a short season, I think the argument is that we wanted to leave transactions open after waivers run. So that just means any guy who isn't picked up in waivers, you can just pick them up for free immediately. Whether we want to add some additional bounds to that, totally up to hear what people think, because you can just like snipe like news that comes out real time, and there's a question of whether or not that's fair. So daily fab, is that a preferable option? You know, TBD. Like, love to hear people's arguments. But in terms of the first fab run, it looks like the biggest pickup so far of the year was Kyron Williams for $210. We see some other big pickups. Brad, maybe start with you. What do you think about the first waiver run?
It was interesting to see how many claims went in. It's always kind of a crapshoot who's going to go big on somebody and who's not. And a lot of money came off the board quick. But I think we all discussed having these like $1,000 fab budgets. You need to spend early. You always end up the end of the year with like $600 because you end up bidding a whole bunch of guys for $5. So I like seeing someone push some chips in, go in, get that 210 and be like, this is my guy. We're going to ride with him and, hope for the best out of that. And same with the Knicks or Raymond's pickup of Justice Hill right after that. Push some chips in, go get a guy that is going to get some touches and see what happens.
Nick, what do you think?
I think generally I agree with Brad's idea that you want to find your Alfred Morris and go after him early, just because he can make a bigger difference early on. And then two, Brad also makes a good point that too often we cling to our pearls with this and you end up having $500 at the end of the season. And it's like, oh, what did I do that for? Whereas here, you kind of have to guess before you get him. Like you have to say, oh, it's interesting. Puka got 10 targets or whatever. Maybe he's good. Maybe he's not. But let's find out. You know what I mean? So I do err on that side generally. I just have general shout outs for both Curly and Raymond.
Yeah.
On top of the trade breakdown we get them already. I think it's really awesome the way they quickly went to go fix their spots of need. Sean knows at this point he's made the trade with Raymond to give away Javonte, and he picks up probably the best out there running back option rest of season in Kyron Williams, who dominated like 2/3, 1/3 snaps before that game became a blowout. I think that's who I would have made the highest priority pickup if it was me. And then for Raymond, I think he made out. I don't know if Justice Hill's who I would have gone for, but I think it makes sense to go for someone like Hill if you want someone rest of season 2 with Dobbins going out. So I think it's the way I would do it. I think I want to shout out Kevin too for Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson's not special, but he was, I think, like the 20th or 19th best quarterback at the games he started last year on a per game basis, just because he runs a little bit. The Jets' skill position players are pretty good. I think as like a bye week guy and as a low QB2, he's useful, and you have him for the whole rest of the year. That's really important. You get him early. It's important to get guys early. So all those are good. And the last one I want to shout out is Raymond with his $0 bid for Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz had 10 targets, and we just talked about, I think Brad said a little bit ago now, all the tight ends suck. On top of all the injuries to tight ends with guys like Kelsey and Andrews not playing, and Waller's always perennially sort of hurt. On top of all of that, tight ends were bad in week 1. And Ertz got 10 targets from a guy who's historically targeted tight ends and Dobbs. And Ertz was also missed on a touchdown. And if he has 10 targets and catches a touchdown, he's probably like tight end 3. And then all of a sudden we're spending $100 on him. So I had a $0 contingency bid and also on Ertz, even though I already have Pitts and Kelsey. I think Ertz is going to be for real as long as Dobbs is starting, as far as being like a bottom half of the top 10 tight end. So mostly good job, Raymond. Good job, Sean. Good job, Kevin.
Brad, any other thoughts?
No, I mean, I will say Ertz looked ancient. That game, that was not a fun game to watch. But no, I think that the Malik Willis pick was kind of fun. Someone going out there and be like, maybe they just give up on Ryan Tannehill, who also looked like he was 100 years old out there running. It's an interesting move to see. Maybe they go with him over Will Levis, considering I think they listed Malik as the 2.
Yeah, I mean that is my personal thought. But
yeah.
One of my favorite pickups, shout out Tim. I think picking up Tajay Spears is a smart move.
Mm-hmm.
Notoriously, he out snapped the king in week 1. I don't necessarily expect that to continue. However, I do have major concerns, just given Henry's usage, his age, and Tajay Spears, in my mind, is not, not poking fun at Deion Jackson, but he's not just some guy who's going to fill in. I actually think he looked really twitchy, looked exciting, explosive. So he could be someone who's interesting. They were actually using him in some routes downfield, not just, dinking and dunking or traditional running back play. So I think good pickup there. Interesting week 1. Love to see the action in the waivers. So I'll stop sharing here for a second. One quick thing that I did want to touch on, just some kind of league fun, since we do have Brad here with us today. I did want to add one additional surprise segment. We've been talking Brad guys, and we're going to continue talking about kind of what makes a team, right? But I thought it would be fun to talk about what a Brad guy is, and I'd love to hear from both of you guys. Brad, you are the man of the hour, so let's hear it from you. What makes a Brad guy?
So I think I've always, I stay a little too loyal for a little too long. I also tend to just, if a guy gets hurt on my team, I'll just keep drafting him over and over and over again. Shout out Keenan Allen, who I think I had for every single year he's gotten a season-ending injury. I think I'm just loyal to a fault when it comes to some of these guys. I will just ride them on my roster and hope for the glory days. Whether it's Lucas Giolito and Jack Flaherty for a couple of years there in baseball, or Keenan Allen in football, and I want to give these guys a benefit of a doubt, even when it's beyond their ability to do it anymore. And we like scrappy guys. We like guys that get catches, get touches. They might not be the flashiest. We're not Tyreek Hill people over here. We like the guys that get out there, give me the rock 10 times. I might only get 50 yards, but give me the rock.
The Jerome Bettis of the world.
The Jerome Bettis is the Damian Pierce on my team now. He's not the flashiest guy, but he's gonna get the rock. We like that.
I like it.
I think when you close your eyes, if you just close your eyes and just think, and then think about Brad, and then think about if Brad was on an NFL field, what would he be? It's almost like a Gruden Grinder kind of guy back when that was a thing before he had cancer. Gruden Grinders are Brad guys, I sort of feel like too.
Yeah.
And I think the requirements are basically like 2/3 of them are guys who are good, not usually great, like Brad said, but like good players, like guys like Keenan Allen, who you always want. They're always someone who should start for every team. They're always like a low receiver 1, high receiver 2, low running back 1, high running back 2. They're always guys who outperform though, and they just Brad themselves around. And then the other third are guys like Jordan Reed or Teddy Bridgewater or Kirk Cousins, just guys who
my boy Brad Teddy Two Gloves.
Yeah, who he's just in love with. And Brad, I love the way you describe it because you are loyal. And too many people in fantasy say things like, "Oh, Kyle Pitts sucked last year. I'm never drafting him again. I'm going to score him off. I'm done with him." And Brad says, "I'm sorry, Kyle. I'll take you back for 4 years until you break out. And when you break out, it will mean that much more because I gave you the chance and the room to grow."
And one of the OGs is Todd Gurley. Man went down and then he won me a league the next year. Like it was, and loyalty kept with him.
Another OG.
Well, guys like Kyle make these trades weekly and just churn half of their roster with their players. Brad drafts the same guys year after year. They know him. They're safe. They trust.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, another OG, specifically comparing to Pitts in the tight end world. I don't know if you guys remember, but Kelsey was a huge prospect coming up. And the first couple of years, usage, I think even off the field stuff, like there's questions, does Reed really want to play Kelsey? He's injured a little bit, and then he breaks out, and he's a stud. So it took a couple of years, and it might, with Pitts too, it would also help if Ritter threw the ball. But
ever.
Yeah.
Tyler Algier has too many carries he needs to get. Yeah. Once he gets 15, then we'll throw the ball once to Drake London and Kyle Pitts.
Yeah. But I love it. Thanks, guys. It's been eating away at me. And Nick, thank you for also framing it like closing your eyes, imagining Brad. That's something that I do a lot.
It's Dallas Keuchel.
That might be a good cold open, Brad or Kyle, when you're editing. Just have it be close your eyes, imagine Brad, and then have Brad be our guest.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay. So moving on really quick, we do have our first mailbag of the pod. It's from Austin, Baltimore, and I'll read it off. It's actually not an audio clip. It says, "Hey, Kyle and Nick, love the show. Very fun to listen to. Fan recommendation, show more skin. It's 2023, for fuck's sake. Give the people what they want. I've got a fever, and my only prescription is a Kyle and Nick meat sandwich."
You can get my naked cat if that would help.
I think that would actually be great for this conversation if you have him around.
Oh no, he has abandoned me, my child. My child.
So it goes on here. He said, lots of fun things happening around the league. So I have a bunch of random questions I'd love your take on. Feel free to skip any. So of course, I kind of like to skip the whole thing, right? Like, what an asshole.
No, I think it's to do all of them. Let's do all of them. We're skipping.
Rattle them.
Oh, Nick.
He was too polite. Do all of them. What? Yeah. We gotta do all of them. That was nice.
Nick's naked, so we have to now.
And show some skin, guys. What are you doing?
Question number 1. What is your take on the Giants -5.5 away against the Cardinals? Nick, you're nearly naked. We'll start with you.
Yeah.
Well, I'm as naked as you're going to be if you don't bet the Giants there. And my joking aside there, I know they're on the road. They look like trash, short-ish week. But I think Daboll is one of the better third, even elite coaches. So I would be shocked if they don't come out a lot better, personally. I would take the Giants -5.5 personally, Austin. It's more of a lean than a true bet, but I do lean with them.
Yeah, I would go on that lean side. I don't feel overly confident, but like it's such a fluky game last week. They could just come out firing and smoke Arizona. That Arizona defense was better than anticipated. It was very odd. They were closing on the ball fast. Commanders have a lot of athletic guys.
Yeah, but the thing I want to say
they
on
hung
that,
with them.
because I agree with you, Brad, is sometimes I feel like when there's a new coach and new coordinators and a new quarterback who hasn't been a starter before in Dobbs, generally, the first week or maybe 2 even,
when
there's not a lot of tape out, it is sort of like what's going to happen here, and you can kind of pull some over. I think generally if you're not actually good, though, the league adjusts pretty quickly, and I would be shocked if Daboll, who, again, I'm basing this on Daboll's a good coach, and the Giants are, the last 2 years now, generally a pretty well-run team. I would probably trust them a lot more. I don't really trust. Did you guys see that speech that Cardinals, is it Gannon, their coach, gave, where he was like,
"Oh my God,
I want killers."
Yeah.
Whatever. Like, what do you? He's like, did you ride the bus here?
I mean, fired him up. They almost killed Sam Howell.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't trust them. I think this was their Super Bowl week 1 because they thought they might win, but I don't know. I would go Giants.
Love it. I'll lean with you guys on that. I do have to say, shout out to Austin. He has more questions, so we'll touch on that. But shout out to Austin. I should not be taking advice, or you should not be taking advice from me on sports betting. Last week, I know Austin had a big week. Bunch of great college picks, but one standout. He took Texas money line.
Oh wow, good job, Austin. Oh yeah,
same gang. Let's go, buddy.
Very nice. So question 2. What veteran QB do you think the Jets pursue? I think, Nick, did you kick us off on that one? We should switch it up. Brad, if
I
you
went
want.
first, yeah.
Brad, why don't you kick us off here?
Veteran QB. So, like, the obvious one that comes to mind is Carson Wentz. Do not pursue Carson Wentz. That man is so washed. It is hard to watch him play football at all. It is terrible. And then you're not going to get Tom Brady. The interesting one I saw, it would require a trade, but go and try to grab Taylor Heineke maybe. See what they would take for him. Brad guy. He's got some moxie. He's going to win you some games. He's going to lose you some games. He doesn't have a big arm, but he just gets out there and plays hard, little bulldog, Brad guy. Like, I'm intrigued to see if they maybe try to make a trade instead of going out and signing a vet. Who can we pull off a bottom of a roster that doesn't, they don't care about. It hasn't been there long enough. That's kind of, I think, maybe where they end up actually falling.
Nick, what do you think?
If I were them, I'd probably sign Flacco just because he was there last year. He knows the system.
Yeah.
I know it's not the exact same system. Hackett is not the same guy, but he knows New York at least, and he's been on that team. He's been under Saleh. He's worked with Wilson. That's probably what I would do. But also, I don't know. I feel like it's really easy to poke him and say Wilson's the starter. Their season's over. They could be the 09 Jets, I think, though, and be still a competitive team like they were with Sanchez.
Mm-hmm.
And if they had because I almost did get rid of Zach Wilson in the offseason. If they'd gotten rid of Zach Wilson, every pundit everywhere would be saying right now, he's an amazing trade candidate. Let's go trade back for Zach Wilson and bring him back now, the prodigal son. I think he might end up being like QB 25. I don't think he's good, but I think he's not the worst quarterback in the NFL. And Rodgers, for what it's worth, has said he'll stay all season and tutor him still, and that can't hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So I would sign Flacco and just roll with Wilson personally.
Yeah, I love the 09 Jets take. I was thinking something similar. What was the recipe for success for the 09 Jets? Great defense and the number 1 rushing offense in the NFL.
Exactly.
With the combination of Sean Green, Thomas Jones, you've got a 1-2 punch with Breece Hall.
Dalvin, baby.
Yeah.
Breece Hall and Dalvin looked good. I know his stats didn't jump off the screen, but I really liked what I saw. It's just when you have someone in Breece Hall, you don't want Dalvin to play, but I think they're both studs. And it's funny. I do want to answer this question with a slightly different flavor as well. The obvious answer to me is actually RG3. Hopefully, I'll include the clip to to be
I saw
cold
this.
open. But RG3, I think he's actually signing up. He wants to try out. So good luck. I mean,
Power to the man.
First the Achilles with Rogers, then both knees with Griffin. But we'll flip to question number 3, and I think this is the last one from Austin. And I think this is probably the most crucial to the pod. But we'll start with Brad. Who would win in a fist fight, Nick Bucher or Troy Aikman at his current age?
Ooh, I mean, this is tough. I think Nick's got him, on obviously young man's game fitness, but Aikman's got some arms. He's definitely got the reach on Nick. And the 80s and 90s, man, different time. I think he's gonna fight dirty, Nick. I think he's gonna try to scratch you in the eye. Like he's gonna, maybe just goes right for like a dick kick, like off the top. Like he's a cowboy. He's a dirty guy. He's a dirty player. He's not gonna treat you fair in this fight. So I think you go down to like a cheap shot. Like he nails you in the kidney. Like you're not getting out of this like unscathed by any means.
He's not a Brad guy.
No, Troy Aikman's the exact opposite of a Brad guy. This house hates Troy Aikman.
I think the odds are.
I looked up how old he is in his stats, like height and weight now estimated. Yeah. Troy Aikman looks like white Jay-Z.
It's not a bad comp.
Like a lot, actually.
So yeah, my big question. I think that this is going to be closer than people think. I think Nick might win this, and my big question is not even who's going to win, but how much do you think Jerry's going to charge for the pay-per-view? Because I know he's going to get his hands on this.
Yeah, there's a lot of money to be made there. I feel like you got 2 of the top 10 names in the country fighting. You're going to draw in a pay-per-view kind of way. This is bigger than probably what was the last one? Pacquiao Mayweather probably. Aikman Bucher is up there as far as cultural significance.
When the pod culture kind of hits broadcasting in the mainstream as well, I think there's something there. We know Pat McAfee, he had a big contract in the offseason, kind of going from pod to ESPN. So we could see something there too. Maybe the YAC boys make the step forward. But
I think he probably gets the slight edge if I'm pricing this, just because he is 8 inches taller than me, and he's listed at 220. I bet he weighs more than that now. He's probably.
I just saw this picture of him. He looks ripped. He's like a
fit dad, but I think he's on roids, dude. I think he was on roids.
Yeah.
Would that be your concern, right? Yeah.
My concern would be though. I was trying to see if he did any jujitsu or anything in college or high school.
Oh yeah.
His only thing besides football and baseball he did in high school though. Look at this fucking dweeb. Aikman won the 1983 Oklahoma High School State Championship in typing. I could beat his ass probably. I feel like this guy sucks.
Smoke him in a typing competition. It's not even close.
Who was typing in 1983?
Yeah.
Who was even doing that?
He's still moving his hand up to move the thing across the typewriter while he's typing on a computer. You're gonna smoke him.
1, 2, 3, 4. I declare a thumb war. I think that you should just finger fight him. Thumb war.
Oh.
I think my neck might be thicker than his. He's a thick guy, but he's more muscular than I am, I think too. But I think my neck is thicker, and I'm not gonna be as easy to take down. I think he's probably a minus 125, minus 130 favorite, but I don't know. I'd probably bet me in his odds.
Yeah, I think that's a good number.
I like it. You get to train for it.
Yeah.
I feel like your stamina will. Man, I can't talk. Stamina will be way better.
My stand-up would be way funnier. You're right. He would not even be funny. I don't think. No, I think you're right, Kyle. After 2 minutes, if he hasn't beaten me up yet, I probably am gonna win.
Yeah.
Does Buck call the fight?
Yeah, but he doesn't get his hairpiece.
That's tough for him then.
Although, seriously, actually, who was typing in 1983?
Typewriters, man. It was a thing.
Technology,
dude. Just Troy Aikman.
I mean, the PC was not even born yet. That's straight typewriter.
Yeah, it's typewriter. You got him. It's a different game now.
Yeah.
He's a
you see these light up. You see these light up keyboards like this. You'd be like, "What is happening?"
That would confuse him.
Yeah, he might have a seizure. All right, so Austin, thank you. Awesome mailbag, and you've clearly done a number on Nick as he's given us a little tease on the pod today.
Can I get real quick, Kyle, for just 2 seconds? I texted up before we started to get his picks. Griffin has. Yeah. It's funny he gave you some takes on his trade. He also gave me. So he picked, without seeing the matchups in front of me anymore, himself, Raymond, Kyle, Pete, Colt, and me. And then he said, make sure also, this is important. This is really important for the Ridley trade. I wanted the high-end keeper and thought Cook and Robinson were similar at running back. Please let people know if they don't value keepers like Kyle doesn't value keepers, I'll take their keepers. And it sounds like I made that up probably, but that is actually what he texted me.
Well, to be completely honest, one reason I was also fine doing it, I crunched the numbers and I like it. No, I'm just kidding. But no, but it honestly, because I have 2 quarterbacks at the minimum, I liked what I saw out of Jordan Love. I liked Purdy. So with saving money for the budget, you have to think about what you actually want to spend on. And I like Cook more than I like Robinson. I like Amon-Ra St. Brown for less than $75 next year. Like, I don't know. To me, I just felt like I've never won a championship, so I wanted to try that out. I wanted to put the chips in, see what happened. But Griffin, thanks for the commentary. Love that you're just.
Well, Griffin has his keeper value. Kyle's going to try winning, dumbass.
Yeah. There's not even a trophy in this league, you know? What's the fun in winning?
Griffin's wearing it.
Money means nothing. It's all about the glory.
Money makes me more empty, yeah. That's why I haven't done this one.
All right. So if we have time, we have one more segment, which is current events. So this is a segment that I wanted to bring back. We've tackled some tough subjects in the past. Nord Stream. We've covered, a lot that the media sometimes neglects.
Pass, though.
Yes.
And the hot dog.
Yep.
This week, I think we have some fun stuff. So maybe rapid fire here. We'll start with Brad. Travis Kelce and T Swift. Is that fact or fiction?
You know what? The kind of how he said he was trying to slide in there and like hit on her a little bit. I'm going to say it's fact. Man got out there. Man went for it. Now, whether it's a long-term thing, I don't know. I don't know how she's going to write songs about him like playing football. That could be tough. Not a lot of like rhyming words for like chop block, tight end, delayed come out route. Like tough, but we'll see how it goes.
What do you think, Nick?
I think it's Roman. I think that's why he missed last week. He was on a date with Taylor Swift. He's actually not hurt. And I think also this highlights the Jonathan Taylor situation. He should have gotten traded to the Eagles. So their running backs could have been Taylor Swift.
Good call.
Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of real, you both thought that was real. Aliens, they're real, right? I mean, did you guys see the news today from Mexico?
That thing's not real.
Brad's like that girl on the plane. That motherfucker over there is not real.
Aliens are real. That one's not.
So you guys don't think that one was real? The 2 little buddies? No. Nick?
I think it's real.
Yeah, I actually think it's real too.
Aliens are 1,000% real though.
I
1,000%.
I think we all think that aliens are real, but I'm actually also just asking about those 2 little munchkins that we saw on television. And I actually think that they are real. I'm not even making a joke. And it's so fascinating. Like no one really seems to talk about it. So I thought we should.
Yeah, I think the mainstream media is just nervous about it for whatever reason. I listened to this really cool pod by a guy who tells it like it is, Alex Jones, and he told me it was real. So I think it is real.
Do you listen to that in your bulletproof bathtub? Is that you bought that from Alex Jones' website?
Okay. The other thing I wrote down was RG3. So we already covered that. But
I like that.
Do you think that RG3 has any chance signing with any NFL team, let alone the Jets?
Oh, no. Wait, hold on. Did you see that whole clip, though? RG3 basically said a bunch of veteran quarterbacks, including himself. But then he also said afterwards, like, Zach Wilson is the best fit.
Yeah, he's like, watch the whole clip. But guys, don't worry. I will put the clip in, and I'm not putting the whole clip. So,
don't do it. I agree with you.
So do your own research.
Do your homework yourselves, guys. But let's do, because you bring it up, Kyle. Who would be better in that offense right now? Okay, I'm going to give you 4 options. Forget Zach Wilson was there last year.
Okay.
Forget that he knows the playbook already. Would you rather have the rest of the year for the Jets, Zach Wilson, Carson Wentz, RG3, Joe Flacco? 5th option, Colin Kaepernick.
Can you say it one more time? Sorry.
Zach Wilson, Carson Wentz, RG3, Joe Flacco, Colin Kaepernick. Who do you want to be your quarterback?
I honestly think Zach Wilson.
Yeah, me
probably
too.
Wilson
I
or
wish I had a fun
Flacco.
take, but I agree.
Yeah, it's probably Wilson or Flacco.
Also, with Wilson's age, like I'm not saying he's good, but maybe he does come together a little bit. And with that team, he doesn't need to try stuff. Like, God, Peyton Eli made fun of him on the
Peyton
Manning
was
cast.
really mean to him.
They were roasting him.
I mean, they're right though. He rolls out like
So far.
20 yards back on like
Yeah,
half
but
of his
dude,
plays.
Peyton was like, he should throw 3 more passes total in the second half. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, I thought it was funny.
Even Eli was like, dude, calm down.
It looks like he's thrown it 12 times. Will he reach 25 times?
No, 3 more at the most. 3 more passes to him.
Here's one of them. Oh, well, he...
There we go. Let's just go backwards. Let's just run backwards.
Throw it anywhere.
Looks like Kurt Russell in.
Okay.
I mean, he does play like you're a little
flag.
kid in Madden, where you just run backwards as fast as you can and then heave it forward. Like it's not the best plan.
I think you're right, though, Kyle. Where there's a non-zero chance a season of Aaron Rodgers in his ear does make him better.
Yeah, I'd agree there.
And yeah, it's not fun. I wish I could be like, Kaepernick still has it, or RG3 could come off the bench tomorrow and do it. I mean, I think it's Wilson pretty easily.
Yeah.
And I think even if he wasn't on the team, I would say that. I think I would say go trade for him.
To be completely honest, I mean, who the hell knows like how he's doing? But the one guy I would consider taking a chance on, to be completely honest, is Cam Newton. I think that that Patriots team was kind of bad, and like I don't know, like if you tell Cam like, hey man, like we're really just going to play conservatively, like if you see an open lane, you can run a couple times, but like let's just dink and dunk. Like I think he'd be fine, but you never know.
I'm shocked you didn't say it, Kyle, already. Why not Jameis?
I
like that.
I'm still a Jameis truther.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I'm surprised you didn't bring him. I was kind of letting you have the chance to bring him up. I think Jameis could be better than everybody but Wilson, probably. I just said.
Yeah, I think so. I don't disagree.
I didn't really consider that to be an option, but yeah, I love Jameis actually.
Yeah.
Not even as a joke. Like I
No,
think he's
yeah.
actually kind of
I know. That's why I brought it up. I think he's. I think he'd be fine.
Just let him get out there and like hurl the rock a little bit, and then just run the ball, run it. Not worry about him throwing 30 picks.
It would be hilarious if it ends up being like some old guy like Phillip Rivers or Drew Brees or Peyton Manning or Brady out of retirement. I mean, the one I could really see, I guess I could see the Rivers one because he almost came out for the Niners last year. And Brady would not surprise me at all if Brady's like, I want to go to AFC East and win that now.
Yeah.
But I think it's just going to be Wilson.
I think Brady's busy playing golf.
Brady's busy running what's the company he runs now?
Oh, I forget, I know what you're talking about, but
isn't it like a cable company or something? He's like,
no, he's now signed with, I think it's Delta Airlines, which is funny because
you're right.
because when was the last time he flew on a commercial flight? Like, give me a break, dude.
Next time will be the first.
Yeah,
I think Tampa Bay's a Delta charter for their flight, so maybe that's why.
I remember seeing that interview, Kyle. You're right. It was Delta Airlines, and they were like, we wanted a winning culture in our Delta locker rooms. And Tom Brady was like, I know a lot about playing on good teams, and Delta's the best team. I was like, what are you talking about?
Well, we have less than a minute left.
Yep.
Thanks for humoring the current events, guys. Really appreciate all your time.
Absolutely.
Brad, thank you for coming on, being our first guest. Nick,
love you, boys.
Any closing thoughts?
Love you guys. Good luck to everybody this week except you, Brad. Get fucked.
Yeah, I hope you burn in hell, Nick.
Oh my God.